Today is June 22nd, National Onion Ring Day. I want to take a look at a different market today, not so much because I want you to go out and trade it, but because it has a nice example of a pattern that is kind of unusual, and it's also a little tough to trade. This is the coffee market. This is the JO Coffee ETN. You could look at the futures chart if you want, symbol KC, but this is pretty accessible to everyone. Let's take a look at the components here. First of all, what is a rounded bottom? It is basically a gradual change of trend, whereas you might have a head and shoulders or a rectangle that could be a pretty quick change in trend, or a V bottom. This is very opposite of a V bottom. It's very long and slow, and the problem is that you don't know when it's actually broken out. It's like that parable about the frog in boiling water. It doesn't know it's being boiled alive, but if you throw it into hot water, it jumps right out. So let's take a look. Here we have coffee. You can see a declining trend. You can see that trend kind of eases, and the lows come a little slower, and the highs get lower a little faster, and then it kind of bottoms out and flattens out, and then you start getting higher highs and higher lows. But the question is, how do you know it's a breakout, or is it just a new trading range? You don't know just from looking at that. And let's just scroll back in time so you can see what I'm talking about. Let's see if we can get rid of that little marker there. Move that up. Let's do that. So you don't know, is this a breakout? And you'd say, well, maybe there's a trend breakout. It's above the 50-day average here in green, maybe the 200-day in brown. Is that a breakout? And we move forward in time, and you can see, well, no, kinda, sorta. But then you get trading above a couple of these peaks. All right, let's zoom in and see that. I'm just going to put some horizontal lines in, just to make it simple. Oops. Horizontal lines. So that looks like a pretty good place to have to break. Or is this a good place to break? Or is that a good place to break? You can see there's lots of different choices here. You know, when it becomes obvious that it's a breakout, look how much of this gain you've already lost. That's why you need to take a look. Try to get in there a little bit earlier as it's happening. So let's come back out and I get rid of these lines because they're clouding things up here. Let's look at the indicators. As you can see, price is gradually rolling. You also have the same type of saucer or rounded shape in volume. You can see it's falling at higher volume, then it gets low, and then towards the bottom here it's very quiet, very low volume, and then it starts to pick up. So right here with this area here, you can see it's a lot higher on average. Now I know this ETN isn't the most active thing, and you can confirm that with the futures market if you like, or something else. But the basic part of the pattern is that you have the rounded shape in price and in volume. And over here, the stochastics. Now I put a 70-day stochastic here. Why 70? Well, it's slower. Usually we use 14 times 5 to make it a weekly, sort of, is 70. So I just want to show here that as it's falling, stochastics in this long format stays low. I mean, it has its spikes, but for the most part it stays low. And then you can see over here, the lows start getting higher and higher into the neutral zone, and the highs kind of persist. So that's a good way to look at stochastics. Now I use the weekly here just because it did make a nice example to kind of illustrate the point. Point is that gradually, instead of closing in the lower portion of its range, as a stochastic would tell us, gradually it changes to close in the higher portion of the range before an actual price breakout. And then of course you have the 50 and the 200-day average. Now this is a commodity, so the 250 cross may not be as effective, but price is above both of them now. So I would say that this pattern is now breaking out and has broken out, and maybe you'd wait until this congestion zone breaks to the upside just to be sure. That's really it. It's a rounded bottom pattern. You could also flip it over. You get a rounded top pattern. Obviously it means the opposite. Is it similar to other patterns? It sure is. It's just a different variation of it. Here it's long and tight in range, whereas head and shoulders may be shorter and wider in range. So you get the point. These patterns are generally theme and variation on each other. So that's it. Good luck, and we'll see you next time.